Well, fantastic to get themselves in front, of course, Rob, and good position to be in again today. But we're going to look at the board again, and we were going to talk about Sorensen anyway in terms of his positioning defensively. But it's quite nice in with the goal he's now scored. But just talk us through a little of those things on this left-hand side, because up until the goal, this was the main threat to Norwich, wasn't it? As much as the possession we see, it's almost like a carbon copy performance of Norwich every single game in terms of the way they set themselves out. But they do look vulnerable on the odd occasion, particularly in this area tonight.
Yeah, I think what's happening here, Darren, basically, they're defending deep as a 4 and coming in here, basically this one's in here as well, like forward on his own. I think what's happening with Sorensen, he's automatically what the fullbacks do, same as Max on the other side. He goes and stands up here, whereas this guy is coming and standing in here, and I think that's been a real problem. Because if Notts Forest had seen him on 2 or 3 occasions, they've played poor passes when they've won the ball, because again it's very difficult to slide raw passes through these 2 banks of 4. But I think you've got a right footer, right winger in Lolly who's giving Sorensen a tough time. Yeah. And like I say, I think they hit the post from coming from that side as well, and I think that's just causing Norwich the only problem really, because I think Max Aarons is dealing with Amiobi. Like we said, he's a great 1v1. But on this side, and I think coupled with Sorensen's failing as a left back, a right footer playing left back, which is no fault of his own really, he's just doing a great job. But I think you've got Josh Martin there, and that's where a little bit of an experience, thinking, well, I need to drop, I need to help Sorensen a bit more.
But then you say that, but when we talked about it saying, does Sorensen think, okay, well look, they have got out a few times on this side, do I stay a little bit more defensive and let Josh Martin be the outlet on this side? But then if that happens, he doesn't then go and score the goal there. As a left-footed, a right-footed left-back, we're saying don't go forward, but then that doesn't happen. So it has its benefits as well. But you have to weigh things up, don't you?
Yeah, of course it does. And until the goal, we were always saying, what happens with Sorensen? Because he's not left-footed, he doesn't want to go up into these areas and cross it. And we're saying you need to cross it from a compact defence. You need to sort of like get behind him and cross him behind him. But what he's doing, he's getting to there, and rather than crossing, he's cutting back on his right foot. Now, as a defender, as a 2 defensive line, that's what you want him to do, because he's just cutting back on his right foot and playing it central, where we've got like loads and loads of numbers. But what he's done really well there, and fair play to Steepham, he's cut inside, but made a terrific pass, which again shows that his midfield quality. He's made a little killer pass. Steepham again's gone into a great area. He's not just fighting; he's tried to chip it to the far post. And like you say, being a right footer, it helps sometimes.
And is that, with Josh Martin and Sorensen on this side, as well as they're doing it, is a little bit of an experience. And that would have been something that Forest would have looked at straight away and said, right, you've got Josh Martin, not that experienced, Sorensen not been in the team that long. That's an area we want to get out of today. And they have caused Norwich issues.
That's the area where Norwich look vulnerable. Lolly he looks a good player. And like he's like a natural right winger. And you've got a central midfield player who's left back. So Chris Hughton is done due diligence and said, like, listen, this is where we can do it. Don't drop back in here, Lolly. I mean, when Norwich fullbacks play high, don't go back with him, because we've got enough there. One of these can come out. So it's an option. And I think if they've got more quality there delivering the passes, it could cause more problems.
Better passes from them. We're going to talk to the King of Spain now, I think, still in the Barclay for us, Simon Lappin. You've had, if you look a bit freezing there, a bit cold there, maybe a chilly. You all right, mate? Just get him out of the way, shove him out of the way. But you're in a good position there to kind of see defensive frailties of Norwich at times and how much they do get dragged around. It must look quite isolating for those 2 central defenders when you see your fullbacks bomb forward like that.
Yeah, and you guys have hit the nail on the head. Nottingham Forest have identified that, Sorensen's playing out of position, doing a job for the team, and then experience of Josh Martin maybe down on the defensive side of the game. And they've got a bit of joy down this side, Forest, as you say, Lolly and Cyrus Christie at times in 2v1s. And when they've got into that area, they put the ball in the box, they haven't checked back, they haven't turned out, they put the ball in the box and ask a few questions. And arguably, you would say that Forest had the better chances, hitting the post, a scramble at the back post, and then you've got Amiobi coming into the back, with obviously the height of him compared to Max Aarons. So it's definitely something we identified. But they were delighted to go and get the goal. What a time to get it as well on the stroke of half time.
But is this just the way the Norwich team in particular, like to do things, Simon? Because they are played the way they play. We've looked at that today, but Sorensen and Max Aarons are still bombing forward, even though they've been caught on a few occasions. They've not thought, perhaps need to sit back a little bit. They're just really consistent in the way they want to play.
Yeah, and they'll stick to that. That's the way they've set up, and they've been doing that for the last few seasons now. At times you look at it, I'm sat in the Barclay here looking at it, and you think Sorensen's always playing as a left winger, Max is always playing as a right winger. They're so high, and as you say, the defenders at times, they'll maybe be thinking, can you give us a little bit of protection? If the ball's on the other side, can the opposite full-back tuck round a bit? But they don't. And then eventually they do get the rewards with the goal. But listening to what you guys are saying, and you're a winger, Darren, and Rob's saying about when we get into these areas, it almost seems they're looking for the perfect ball. They do so well to open them up and get into these areas and just throw the ball in the box at times, ask questions of the Forest defence.
And Gossip, we bring you in as well. You're seeing up from the gantry for different levels. You get an overview of the structure of Norwich. As we've just said there, when they do get into good positions, do Norwich get enough bodies into the box to be able to deliver the ball early? Because they don't seem to get enough bodies into the box until they're right around the 18-yard box and they've held onto the ball long enough to let everybody join in.
No, we spoke about it Saturday, didn't we? I think the balls have got to come in earlier and from a deeper position. In terms of Joe Lawley, I think he's their best player. He's their biggest threat, their maybe only threat, other than set pieces, corners and free kicks are causing us trouble. But apart from that, we seem very comfortable. Going forward, it's obvious for me where I'm looking that it's a two-touch game. You want to control and two to whip it in, and they're not doing that. You said about Sorensen coming in on his right foot. I think you're right. Strikers and midfield players make their runs accordingly if they know he's going to check back on his right-hand side to then deliver it. But he doesn't deliver it anyway. He passes it inside to their strength, Nottingham Forest strength, went down the middle. Buendia's made one terrific run beyond the centre halves, which is needed and a lot more often. He's had one great strike, but I think we can shoot more. They're standing off Nottingham Forest. They're not even tackling. They're closing. It's like shadow play for them, and we have lots more time, I think, on the ball than what the players seem to think.
Is that sometimes, Gossy, just taking a chance? You know, they say if you don't buy a ticket, you never win anything. You know, you got into positions where you were banging in goals left, right and centre in that particular season, and that was because you had confidence, of course, but also you're willing to hit it. You know, you're willing to put your foot through it.
Exactly right. Just you need that half a yard, but I think they've got more than half a yard, 20, 25, even 30 yards out, the way they can strike a ball. These balls, they fly through the hair. Let's test the goalkeeper a lot more, shooting outside the box, obviously. But I think they've got to be patient. I'm pleased that they've got their goal. Otherwise, I could see this turning into another Derby County affair where, 70% possession of the ball with nothing to show for it, then going 1-0 down. We're one up. I think the way they're playing 4-1, 4-1 is causing us trouble as well because they break quicker, because they've got more players to break quicker on a counter-attack. And maybe that's where we're getting a little bit caught out down our full-back positions. But
Laps, do you think that's going to be something that Daniel Farke will address at half-time? Because as much as they are 1-0 up, is he going to want to play in the same manner? Or is he just going to say to Sorensen now, perhaps don't drift forward quite so much, give yourself a little protection, because they are getting out from that outlet?
I would imagine nothing much will change, Darren. They'll keep playing the same way. And as Gossie's saying there, they're setting up, when I'm watching it from behind here, when Hanley's got the ball, even when the ball goes into skip, they're dropping onto the halfway line and then they start to press when Norwich start to advance with the ball. But the goals, as we said, it's great timing just before half-time to get the 1-0 lead. Forest now need to come out a little bit, and that's where Norwich might get joy to play in between them and start to pick them off a bit.
And Gossy, just back to you. I mean, looking at the defensive shape of Norwich at the moment, you're an attacking midfielder who like to score goals. Do you see more goals in this game coming from those central areas? Because Norwich don't seem to score any kind of goals that are built up around. Well, everything's built up around the 18-yard box. Everything's crucial around that width of the 18-yard box to score goals. Is that just the way Norwich play? Because we'd like to see something different. We'd like to see some crosses, but there's no real height in the side in an attacking sense to dink the ball up to the far post and hang something up.
Yeah, maybe Steeperman, maybe you're right. Maybe Steeperman's got to play that little bit more diagonal position off Pookie, where full-backs and midfield players can hit them big diagonal ones a little bit more direct onto Steeperman, who can then head them down for oncoming runners. It's too tight to get any shots in. They've got to draw them out first. There's one or two times they've gone back down to the halfway line and started again. Now that's a good thing, as long as there's runners going beyond the full-backs and behind the centre-halves to give you just a different option of play.
Fantastic, Gossy. Simon will speak to you again after the game. Rob, we talked about this quite a lot, about how Norwich build forward, and we said about playing quicker to disrupt the team that they're playing against. But actually, sometimes playing slower does that make them encourage them defensively to think, well, we've got to go at some point, we've got to try and get the ball back, which then can pull them around?
Maybe, but I think the way Chris Hughton's side's set up and whatever, they won't be. He will say to them, listen, you don't go chasing the ball. You do not go chasing the ball. We get back 2 banks of 4, and like Gossi said, if it's like a 4-1, 4-1, it becomes a 4-5-1, basically out of possession. So he'll be happy probably until the last kick of the game. They were doing their job well, and like I say, they were really compact. And like I say, we always say, do Norwich pass the ball quick enough? There's nothing wrong with passing the ball, but I think if you do it too methodically, too slow at times, as a defending team, it's easy. You're not being put under no real pressure. Even if you pass it from side to side quickly, they've got to move quickly. They move as quick as the ball's moving. So if it's moving slow, they're going to move slow. If it's moving quicker, then if it moves it quicker and one of these don't do it, you're in a position to maybe exploit that space.
See, it sounds like we've been really negative, but we're just trying to pick things up to make the team play even better. You know, they're winning 1-0, which is brilliant.
It's exactly the same makeup of the game as we've seen all the home games here. Like the opposition come here and they just bank on the edge of the box, a flat and a back 4 and another 4 midfield, even 5 at sometimes as well. It's difficult, but they've proven they can do it. And like I say, as the game goes on in the second half, when Norwich do tire, those gaps become available.
As we said, they are winning. And today is, of course, the Rainbow Laces game today. And I caught up with Di Cunningham just a little earlier, who was representing the Proud Canaries, to tell us all about it. Well, I've got my official Rainbow Laces scarf on, as you can see, and I'm joined now by Di Cunningham, who runs the Proud Canaries. This is the official Rainbow Laces game against Nottingham Forest tonight. Just tell us a little bit about your involvement and what it's all for.
So Rainbow Laces is an annual event, and it's run by Stonewall. They've been going for at least 5 years now, and it's a kind of show of solidarity, show of allyship with the LGBT plus community, who are underrepresented in sport, and often at grassroots level people don't feel particularly welcome. So that's kind of what it's all about. It's saying everybody should be welcome in sport and in football.
I mean, Norwich as a football club has traditionally been very inclusive, so has it been kind of an easy sell to move around this club in particular? Yeah,
I mean, very much so. At many clubs, this is all that is done in terms of LGBT plus inclusion. At this club, it's a kind of it's kind of a minor operation, really. It's great. Yeah, let's have it. Let's use the LEDs and the corner flags and the substitutes board. But actually, there's so much inclusive stuff that's built into the club that's far more important. So, I mean, this is great, and it's really colourful, and it's compelling, and kids love wearing the laces and stuff. But there's a lot more serious stuff that goes on here, day to day, just not one day a year.
Well, of course, you're a huge Norwich fan, and you can just tell us the time you've been involved with the football club, how you've seen things change so much.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. We started Proud Canaries kind of late 2013, and didn't really know how it would go, and it was a kind of response to just that thing that football is slightly different to the rest of life. And for me as a gay woman, I suddenly realised that I was soaking up listening to homophobia, not targeted at gay people, but just used as slurs, used as terms of abuse, like take the referee down, call him a P word or an F word. And I just thought, what's going on? I'm quite articulate, I'm quite out in my normal life. Why at football am I different? Why am I soaking this up? And I could feel my shoulders hurting when these guys behind were, being homophobic. And they had 2 little kids as well, which was just really sad. And so there was a bit of an epiphany, and a bunch of us were connected with Norwich Pride. And we went to the club and talked to them, and they said, brilliant, be an official supporters group, be part of the family, the fan family. And, I think things would have changed anyway. Obviously, things in life have changed. Now we have stuff like equal marriage and far better equal rights. But, we still don't have an out elite male player.
No.
So there is still work to be done. Yeah. But, the fans here, the supporters and the club are just brilliant.
But Norwich has always been at the forefront. I mean, look at the game tonight. What were you looking for? What do you think? Win again tonight?
Oh, have you been watching the Forest stuff from last Boxing Day?
Yes. 3-3.
I can watch that on repeat. And, in conjunction with the Saturday's match and the kind of last 10 minutes of that, it's, it kind of, it doesn't bode well for Forest, does it?
No. What score prediction?
Well, I think it could be a tonking. I mean, I'm really hoping
To
it's
us,
not
I
going to be. I'm hoping it's not going to be last minute.
Yeah.
And we can all just kind of relax a little bit. But I'd see a good 3 goals in us.
Lovely. We'll take that. Thanks, Di, and enjoy the game.
Thanks, Darren.
Quick, it's time for the second half. This on.